It's the Kink Consultant Podcast, where we're turning up the heat on all things kink and dating, relationships, and pop culture. So close the door, plug in your headphones, and let's get down to it.
Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the Kink Consultant Podcast. I am joined by Pieter of BeeDee App, and it's BeeDee App's second time on the podcast. So welcome back, Pieter.
Thank you, Amanda. A lot has happened since, so I'm very happy to be back.
Yeah, so for anyone who hasn't been following the podcast from the beginning, BeeDee App is a specialty dating app for people who are into BDSM. And I think it's safe to say that you guys are probably the most popular BDSM dating app, right?
Definitely the only dating app based on the BDSM test in collaboration with, and virtually everyone has taken the test. And we use the test results to connect you to compatible people, skipping all the small talk and the experience I've had myself on other kinky dating apps where everyone on there is just kinky, and that's the whole filter. So I've had the experience myself that I go on kinky dating apps and I need to swipe away half the profiles because they're of dominance and I'm more dominant myself. So that's likely not going to be a good fit. And that whole idea and that whole experience that started this journey behind the BeeDee app, because if everyone takes the BDSM test, we already know who's dominant, who's submissive, who's into X and Y, and we can pair them up because, hey, you're into similar things. Maybe you should have a chat. Hey, you're into incompatible things. Maybe you should look at different profiles.
That is something that I've experienced because obviously since you guys launched and you're now fully on the Apple Store, which is, I think, a really important note that we're going to get into, but I want everyone to know they can get it anywhere. I've been using the app, and I actually, a few months ago, I did meet someone on the app. We dated for a few months, and we had a high match percentage, and that proved true in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom. So I've already had a good experience on the app, and I love it because it's just such an easy way to compare for anyone who's taken the test. People might not even realize they've taken the test before. You answer sometimes just 40 questions about your preferences, and then you get a percentage match of what you most are to what you least are, like dominant, brat tamer, submissive, and it gives you different percentages. But my favorite part is you can just answer the dominant ones, you can just answer the submissive ones, or you can answer everything and it gives you your percentage of dominance and submission. It's a really broad test, right?
It's dominant and submissive. It's also master slave. It's also a rope bunny and rigger. It's also vanilla versus experimentalist.
Yeah.
There's lots of things in there. And when we calculate how compatible two people are, we look at every combination of those percentages.
Okay, so I recently met someone not on the app, but I did make him take the test. I made him download the app. We set our parameters really small so that we'd be guaranteed to at least see each other. So I had him download the test. I realized for myself in using it that even though I'm slightly switchy, I knew that I didn't want to end up with a sub. I was looking for a dom. So I redid the test and I only answered the submissive questions so that I was being paired with more doms. And that was my personal hack of like, okay, what am I looking for? This is how to get it. So when he did it, he only answered the dominant ones. He's not a switch. And we ended up being a 97% match. We had figured that out before, but I think it was cool for the BDSM test. And actually, when he set up his profile, even there are a ton of different profiles in the area we're in, I was his first match because we were pretty high. So that's like my personal story of how accurate I think it is, but also has been for a lot of the people I've matched with.
I know more vanilla couples where I think, oh, why don't both of you take the BDSM test and see if you're compatible? And I see a lot of vanilla couples that they're less focused on their sexual life, but having a conversation of, oh, I never knew that you like me taking the lead, for example, that conversation could spice up your sex life and make your sex life a lot better as a couple. Because I feel like a lot of vanilla couples are shying away from the topic of sexuality and BDSM, and maybe they shouldn't. What's wrong with having a good discussion of it, especially if it could improve your life so much?
Absolutely. So I don't know if I mentioned this before, but obviously I'm a sex and relationship coach. I specialize in kink, and I get a lot of couples where one person is kinky and the other isn't. And something I do is I send them both the BDSM test, especially for the non-kinky or the person who thinks they're not kinky. I send it to them to show them like, hey, you might be more interested in some of this stuff than you think. So it's really cool then to get on the BeeDee app and like I did with this person I met, just see, okay, how compatible are we?
Absolutely, but you could also take it one step further and give the BDSM test to people who don't have a partner yet. And if they have any kinks that they want to explore, but they don't know who to explore it with, BD might be the right place to go looking for that person.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah. Because I also have single clients as well. In my experience, they do know what they're into, but you're right. I think we all discover a little bit more, especially when we do what's called populating the menu. There are kinks and interests on there that I would never have really associated myself with. I don't really relate to being a slave, but then like my percentage on slave was higher than I expected it to be because of how it's presented in the app. I'm like, oh yeah, I could be into this more than I think. But I do have a bone to pick with you, a serious one. I don't think the test and the dating app is set up correctly to assess the brattiness of dominance, okay? I have a sample size of 1 to complain about, but I would like to bring this up. The person I did it with and the person I'm seeing right now is truly, and I'm not being facetious here, this isn't hyperbole, he's a way bigger brat than me. But because I'm submissive and he is dominant, his brattiness only came up at 10%. And personally, I think doms are the biggest brats I know. So I have a bone to pick about me getting like 70% brat and him getting 10%. I think some stuff needs to be fixed there.
It can be a bit very meta here. The BDSM test is not very hard to decipher, so if you want to get a certain result, it's quite easy to get to a certain result. And what is more brattier than, even though you are a complete brat, scoring very low on brat to prove a point? So I think your friend did that.
Yeah, he probably did. No,
I think your friend did this on purpose for being a brat.
I literally would not put it past this guy. But again, flaw in the test. I need you to be able to pull out the brattiest of brats and be like, put them on display. I just think we need to add another filter to the brat question. He definitely did it on purpose, though.
I think we need to find a way for people to enter the BDSM test and punish them for giving a wrong answer.
All right, now you're onto something. I'm down with this. Because I do think, yeah, we still came out as a 97% match. And maybe we would have been a lower match if I found out what a big brat he was through the percentage. But yeah, that's my one complaint, is that I think doms are the biggest brats. And you say it's easy to decipher, but like another thing I've noticed is sometimes some questions that I don't think mattered as much, and we talked about them in the first episode, and this one still boggles my mind. I think it's something like, how likely or how interested would you be in turning your back on the world and going into this full time? Do you know that question? That one scares people too. They're like, who would do this? And I'm like, me, I guess. What one does that indicate? Is that
Not
slave?
on top of my head, but I would guess that indicates experimentalist. I know that in the past the BDSM test had a lot more questions and iterated over the set of questions multiple times to figure out which question was the strongest indicator for each of the groups. And that must have been a question that strongly indicated one of the groups. My guess would be experimentalist, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay, that question always throws people a little bit because it's like, who would do this? And it's like, a lot of people. And then something that is less applicable to me, but I do enjoy that you have in there, is percentage of monogamy versus non-monogamy. And I think that's really helpful because there's a high overlap of kinky people who are non-monogamous. I do not count as one of those people, but I like seeing that I am able to disqualify people or have a lower percentage match with them. And oftentimes if I see a dominant on there that I'm not as highly matched with, I already know I'm like, they're into non-monogamy and that's just not me. So I love that's pointed out too.
That's part of the reason why we have multiple relationship forms that you could be open to or not open to signal, hey, I'm only looking for a monogamous relationship, or I'm polyamorous and I already have a relationship, so I'm only looking for play partners or friends with benefits. So at a glance, you can see, oh, these people are only looking for something non-monogamous and I'm only looking for something monogamous. I'm gonna skip this profile. Or maybe you say, oh, I have a very high match percentage. Let's chat and let's see if it's really such a non-starter for the two of us. I've seen a lot of couples where one of the two people didn't match one of the criteria of the other people. But once they started chatting, I was like, yeah, but I like the guy so much on all the other criteria. I just really like the guy. Let's go for it. So I would like to say to everyone in the dating scene, be a bit more open and give people the chance to have a chat with you. Literally, just have a 5-minute conversation over chat and see how you vibe. I think we should lower the bar for having a match and having 10 messages back and forth. And then again, put the bar high for any committed relationship, absolutely, but put it really low for just exchanging 5 messages.
Oh, I agree with that completely. Like, you need to be open to things. And I mean, that's how I ended up with the friends with benefits. He scored quite high on non-monogamy, and I was lower on it, obviously. And I say friends with benefits, which is an unfair title because we were exclusive friends with benefits. And that was something we negotiated. I was like, listen, I don't want this with other people. Interesting point, though. It's also worth having conversations like that because in my world, in the world of kink, a lot of us might be play poly, meaning we'll play with other people, but sexually monogamous. So it's like even worth just digging in and saying like, hey, I noticed this on your profile. What's your interest there?
Hey, Kinksters. If you and your partner have been craving a deeper, healthier, and more connected DS dynamic, this is your sign. I'm hosting an exclusive couples retreat right here in Las Vegas in March 2026. It's a weekend designed to help you build or refine your dynamic with clarity, confidence, and real tools that you can use long after the retreat ends. We're talking communication foundations, power exchange structure, hands-on practice, and the kind of intimacy that brings couples back to each other in a whole new way. This isn't a one-size-fits-all program, so we're only accepting couples who are truly ready to do this work. That's why there's a waitlist and application process. If you want first access and a chance to claim one of the limited spots, join the waitlist now. Head to amandadames.com/beta waitlist or click the link in the show notes. Get on the list, apply, and come build the dynamic you've been dreaming about.
That's something I really love about the kink and BDSM community. To draw from my own experience, like over 10 years ago, I had a really good date with someone. We ended up kissing, and then I didn't know what our status was for multiple days until she confirmed that she regarded us as being in a relationship just from having had that kiss, which is fair. And I wanted to be in a relationship with her at that time. So I was really happy with knowing that, but it's really awkward. And I really like about the BDSM community that it's just so open and having a conversation. What exactly are we? Are you open to X? Are you open to Y? Can I do X with other people? Can I do Y with other people? And I think it's really important for every couple to have that conversation. And if 2 people decide, oh, we're going to be completely monogamous in the old-fashioned way, absolutely. But why not have that conversation and find a relationship form that both of you are really happy with?
I know, I agree completely. I talk about this day in, day out, and it's just the level of communication that you need to have. It's a really good template for how to have other conversations around relationship, and that's what's special. Do you know it's been a year? That's like, it was a year ago. Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but I have BeeDee App to thank for my podcast. I took the BDSM test years ago, and I just happened to get an email saying, we have a dating app, it's coming out. And they were looking for volunteers. And I emailed and I was like, okay, I want to help. Admittedly, I got busy then. Starting a business, being the kink consultant is a little busy. So someone booked a consult call with me and said, we want you to help us promote BeeDee App. And we're launching, and I just thought, oh my God, that's amazing. We spoke to the creator of the test, and no one had ever spoken to him. What a scoop. And I have this opportunity. So whoever I was talking to on your marketing team, I was like, you know what? I'm starting a podcast. You guys should be the first guests on the podcast. Up until this point, Peter, there was no podcast. There was no idea of me starting a podcast. This opportune moment of, I was like, I need to get this interview. I want to be the person who gets the scoop. Let me start a podcast. So thank you to BeeDee App for some amazing fun experiences. And then also this podcast existing in the first place. Isn't that crazy?
It's absolutely wonderful. I love that story. And it just reminds me of how I started with BD too. Like, I found myself freshly made redundant, freshly single. I had been wanting to start my own project and a company and a startup for over 10 years. And suddenly I had a chat with the creator of the BDSM test saying, oh, I have a lot more people than I ever expected to take the BDSM test. But the value I bring them is I bring them value for 5 minutes. They take the test and then I don't see them again for probably years afterwards. What can I build to give more value to them? And we started chatting, and before long we had the idea of building a dating app where everyone takes the BDSM test, and we use the BDSM test to find people the best profiles first. And yeah, it's been 3.5 years, early 2022.
Okay, so yeah, nearly 4 years.
So yeah, it's been nearly 4 years that I spent on this project, and it's amazing. I never dreamt of actually getting my own company, launching it, getting a team around it, but only because I was able to build something that didn't exist yet, and I was able to bring value to people. That's why it took me 10 years to launch my own project. I didn't want to build a copy of something that's already existed and tell people mine is better when it isn't. I wanted to build something new and bring value, and people weren't able to connect to other people through the BDSM test yet, and that's what we've brought to people. And yeah, you can see, like, you found the Friends with Benefits through BD. We recently had our first engagement announced from people who know each other through BD. I can't wait for the first BD baby to be born, but that's gonna happen sooner or later.
It warms my heart to hear that there is a couple who are now engaged who met here, because we know the struggle of meeting someone who's into kink. Like, FetLife wasn't created to be a dating app. They openly talk about how they're not a dating app, and people want to connect. They want to meet like-minded partners, and now BeeDee App exists for that, and people are meeting each other. And that's just one engagement. I'm sure more people that you know about is my point. That's one you know about, but I'm sure there are more.
And FetLife is trying to be the Facebook for the BDSM community, which I think they're doing amazing at, but you can't be the Facebook and the Tinder at the same time. So absolutely right that they're saying we want to do one and not the other. We're saying the same. BD is not trying to be the Facebook for the BDSM community. We're trying to be the Tinder for the BDSM community. I really hope that we're doing a better job at connecting the right people than FetLife is. I've been there myself, scrolling through local FetLife profiles, and it just gives you a list, and you need to go through the whole list to find people with the right sexual orientation, with the right gender, and then half of them are dominant. It takes you ages to find people who are suitable, who are compatible to you, and then you need to reach out, and then 90% of the time they're not interested, so they're never replying to your DMs. Fair game, if they're not interested, they would be wasting each other's time. But on BD, it's just so more efficient. I immediately see the right profiles. I can send them a like. I don't need to write up a whole introduction of myself, because I'll see if they like my profile back. And once they do, then I'll introduce myself. So yeah, I really hope that on BD it's a lot easier to find each other than it is on FetLife.
Oh, it definitely is. And I've met people into kinks that I would never have really explored before without this. Like hypno kink, right? Someone who's like, oh, I really specialize in this. And I think it's so interesting because I'm getting exposed to people who match me at a high enough percentage, and then they might have a separate interest. I think I mentioned this on every episode. I have a discipline and punishment fetish, right? I'm kinky overall though, so that's just my favorite. It gives me a chance to meet people who I probably wouldn't cross paths with otherwise.
A bit on the limitation of BD and therefore the BDSM test is that we are currently testing across, I think, 19 different stereotypes, but we don't have every single kink in existence in that list. We don't have hypno kink, we don't have feet kinks. The reason behind that is that if we were to test for all of that, or just ask yes, no, are you into it, it would need to be a list of hundreds of questions. And for us to do the matching up correctly, everyone would need to answer hundreds of questions, and that's just not scalable and not feasible. The BDSM test is already one of the longest things you need to do on a dating app to create an account. We already know that's one of our weaknesses, but therefore we can't open up the BDSM test to, with all due respect, more niche kinks. But I think the BDSM test, with its flaws, is a great conversation starter, and then you can go from there and say, oh yeah, I'm a switch and I have a big hypno kink, but on that hypno kink I'm only on the receiving end or something. So that can be a great starting point. And any other specific kinks that are really important to you, you can have a conversation about that. You can add it in your bio, or you can start a conversation about that with your match.
Yeah, and I think it is a strength because it's just exploratory. Like you said, we need to be more open-minded. Keep the bar low for who you have a conversation with. So that allows that to happen. And here's the other thing that I really enjoy, and I hope you guys are keeping this. You have to scroll to the bottom of the profile to reject or accept. And what that does is it forces people to just go a little bit deeper on someone. I've been on Tinder and just swipe left on someone who, honestly, after I swipe left, I'm like, oh shit, they were kind of cute. I wish I could go back. And had I just taken more than a second to scroll a little bit, I think I would have swiped right. So it reframes how we play the dating game.
Absolutely, that's the reason behind this feature, because when you first see a profile, you see name, age, compatibility percentage, and a picture. And I think to reject someone just based on that is a bit quick. So we've made people to at least take the action to scroll down past their bios, past their test results, and maybe every once in a while you'll see, oh, but if they score high on this and that, or if they mention this in their bio, maybe I should give them a chance. If 1 in 100 profiles gets that extra chance, not, then that's worth it. And if you're really put off by the main picture, it takes half a second to scroll down and tap no. I don't think that half a second matches that much, but it also disincentivizes mostly straight men on Tinder, opening Tinder saying yes, 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 yes. Then you get a match with someone and they're not starting the conversation. They don't have anything interesting on their profile. And that's also something we want to disincentivize by telling those people, if you're a non-paid account, you only get 10 likes free per day. So pick them out. And by having to scroll through the profile, it makes it harder to just say yes, 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 yes on every profile and not look at it. It makes you invested, like, oh yeah, this is a profile I'm invested in. If I'm going to match with this person, I'm going to talk to them. I'm going to say something to them. That's also something that we hope to accomplish with that feature.
Hey, I have a secret I'm finally ready to talk about. I've never really been a vibes girl. I know, shocking coming from the kink consultant, but that's changing. I'm teaming up with my friends at Babeland for an 8-week self-pleasure journey. Every Friday, I'm trying a new toy and sharing what I learn about my body, my pleasure, and what actually feels good. If you want to follow along, check out my Friday Vibe series on Instagram and Substack. And while you're here, check the show notes for my most recent review. Keep on kinking on.
Yeah, it 100% sets you up for deeper connection. Okay, so last time we spoke, the other thing that came up was you guys were only on Google Play Store, which was a big deal because a lot of my followers loved the episode, but they were like, how do I get on it? It was slightly clunky because you weren't in the Apple Store, but you are now. Tell me about how you ended up in the App Store. Yes, I'm a little bit invested in this story.
So last time we were featured on here, you had a chat with Brat from Meet Kinksters, who had a dating app to bring kinky people together. Because of us both appearing on the same podcast, we had a chat like, hey, we're doing something very similar. Maybe we should join forces, which we ended up doing. We joined forces with Meet Kinksters, and through that, the BeeDee app is now available on the Apple App Store, all because of this podcast. So thank you so much, Amanda.
All right, love it, but also love it because it meant that more people have access to BeeDee, and I'm happy that I was able to be part of that. And obviously, love Brad from Meet Kinksters too. It's just amazing to bring people together and make better things happen in the kink world. I mean, we're that engaged couple. I wonder if they met on the Apple app or the Google one. Question for another time, though. Okay, that's awesome. I did want to talk about Field, but you kind of touched on it already.
Did I tell you? They made a horrible mistake.
No, what did
they
they
launched
do?
a desires feature where you can enter what you desire. One of the desires was being submissive or being dominant. And then once I entered that, I was being shown dominant profiles because we have something in common. Namely, both of you want to be dominant. How can you make that mistake that two people being dominant is something you have in common? That's not understanding your community.
No, I think it was a tick the box exercise for them. Have they fixed that? I don't know. I am not on Field. Okay, good to know they at least figured it out, but you're right. I find Field, if you are looking for an alternative, more open thing, sure, but the kink is just not there. And that's why I'm not on it anymore. It's always been really important for me to meet someone kinky. That's why I love BeeDee App. That's why I love niching down this much, because I'm like, okay, if everyone I date is kinky, then at least I can find someone who matches me best on a personality level too. That's the difficulty, right? Do you have any advice for people who are trying to date kinky? Obviously, yes, download the app and use BeeDee, but what other tips do you love to give people on how to meet someone?
That's a great question.
And by the way, I mean how to have a successful relationship, what kind of questions to ask. Say two people match on BeeDee App. What's your advice? What's the best way to go about that as a dating app?
So whenever I match someone, my focus is what do we have in common? Do I enjoy that this person also enjoys? Not on what is missing. If you have 5 kinks and this person matches 4, I would focus on, oh, we have 4 things in common. There's 4 things I can enjoy in my relationship with this person, instead of focusing on, oh yeah, there's one thing I would miss if I settle down for this person. Because we're all idealists. We all think of dreaming. We all dream of marrying a Disney prince or a Disney princess, but no one of us is going to find that person. So try to focus on the things that you do have in common.
Yeah, the truth is being realistic is your best bet at being happy. This is something we talked about last time. In a previous life, I worked in email marketing. I was really big into data around marketing. One of the projects I worked on was the end of year email recap of who watched the most Peacock shows or what type of shows everyone was watching and sending that out. Do you have fun stats like that?
We recently made our 100,000 match on BeeDee, and we see that there's been more than 1.2 million messages sent on BeeDee.
That is awesome. I have my own crackpot theories. I think I may have said this before. The best DOMs I've ever had used Android. I know that's an insane thing to say, but I'm telling you, the guy I matched with, the Friends with Benefits, the person here, everyone uses Android. And I want to know if you have more dominant profiles on Android or on Apple. And I think that you should send out a recap email at the end of the year with some of these fun BeeDee wrapped, like Spotify wrapped, except for BeeDee. Because Pornhub does it too. They say what are the most common kinks in different areas.
We're working on a newsletter, and that would be an amazing idea to have statistics like that in the newsletter and send it out on a monthly basis or end of year recap. That's definitely something we're looking into.
You strike me as someone who'd be good at pulling these statistics together and being able to send them out. So I'm hoping that this does come along because it's my favorite thing. I love knowing what the most commonly searched kink or porn is in every state. If we could do it by country or something, or what country has the most dominance versus submissives. Or people have questions, Peter. We have questions like how many people are dominant versus submissive? And I think the answer is there are probably 3 subs to every dom, or maybe 2 subs to every dom. I think it is your obligation to share that out once you have it.
I think Poland and Greece were like the most kinky countries in Europe in terms of scoring the highest averages on the BDSM tests. And I think Brazil and Argentina also scored quite high.
No way. Okay, I need to be in a planning meeting, Peter. Like I am inserting myself right now. I have tons of stats. I also want to know what star signs, like what astrology sign. If you could just give me the birthdays and I would work it out for you. I will figure out what star signs prefer what type of kink. I'm getting very passionate about it because these are the answers I need. And I view BeeDee App as the group that has it. So now that I'm like seeing someone who is obviously a 97% match, now I'm interested in the statistics around it. I get asked this all the time. I want to know what country has the most dominant personalities. So hey, everyone, you're hearing it here first. If you are going on vacation in Europe and you're looking for some kinky fun, you probably have a higher chance if you go to Poland or Greece. And who doesn't want to go to Greece?
After this meeting, you're gonna book a holiday to Greece?
I can't. I'm seeing someone, but had I known this last summer when I was in Greece, I probably would have been on the app a lot more.
Okay, so if I see Instagram pictures of you in Greece, I'm going to assume that you're single and you're trying to find your next person.
My next person. But you know what actually adds up here? When I was in Greece and I was posting photos on Instagram, I was in Italy and then Greece last summer. I got a ton of messages when I was in Greece of people saying, oh my God, you're in my country, welcome. And I'm like, no one did that in Italy, but everyone did it in Greece. So I believe this. That's my real world experience of what you're describing. But in all seriousness, please bring me in on a meeting to discuss. This is what I did at Peacock. We literally sat down and decided what stats are we going to dig into to share with people, and this would just need to be broad.
So my co-founder and the founder of the test is amazing at that kind of things. He does that for his full-time job constantly. At one point in the past, we actually had a spat because he was digging up this graphics, and I was like, we have more important and more urgent stuff to do. Why are you pouring hours of your work into that? And he was like, I jotted that up in like 7 minutes. That would be hours worth of work for me. How do you do that in 7 minutes? So yeah, we actually have someone in the house who's great at that kind of stuff. So we do need to drill down and make social media content with it and put an email list together.
Yeah, I don't know if you know, but I'm pretty good at what's popular on social media. So tag me in, coach. I want to be in that meeting.
Sounds like a broader conversation we need to have after this recording of the podcast.
Fine,
but I'm definitely open to having that discussion.
Well, I'm going to force my way into that conversation. Okay, speaking of what's popular on social media, I know that there are certain trends. I think that my own popularity grew because there's more mainstreaming of kink in general. I'm assuming you've noticed that too, since you guys started 4 years ago. More people are open to the idea of kink now.
I haven't seen it change that much in the past 4 years, but if I go back in time to when 50 Shades movies launched, I don't know what it did in the US, but in Europe, that was a huge talking point. And I was involved with the student community in Ghent with the name Kajira. We were the first student organization around BDSM to be recognized in Europe, and that happened in 2013 during the period of the movies of 50 Shades of Grey coming out. Well, say what you want about those movies, they don't always depict BDSM in a very consensual way. And
Yeah.
there was a lot of miscommunication of how important consent should be in a good BDSM setting. And if you strive away from consent, you should have had lengthy discussions about that beforehand. In the wake of that, we really saw BDSM being something you could talk about to your parents or to your colleagues. We did see that change, at least in Europe, massively just over 10 years ago.
Yeah. So I think it brought the conversation into the mainstream. I mean, I was kinky before those books came out. I've been kinky, I say, my whole life, but I love what it did for bringing it forward. And I know that there were some outlier things. I just also know that I get really up in arms with the old guard people who blame 50 Shades for a lot of people getting into kink, but I think it only helped advance things. It brought the conversation forward, like you're saying.
It brought it to light, and a lot of people discovered the desire they already had because of 50 Shades. It doesn't mean that 50 Shades made them be into BDSM. It means that it made them discover they were already into BDSM, but they didn't know that of themselves yet.
Yeah, it gave them permission to explore all of these things.
Absolutely.
Okay, so Pieter, what is next for BeeDee App? You guys have already come so far in the year since we last spoke. What can I expect next for BeeDee App?
We will be bringing a feature where you can see people from the same country first. I know that people living in southern Texas, for example, have been requesting this for a while because they want to see people in the US before seeing people over the border in Mexico. We are also going to bring incognito mode, where paid members can swipe others and only be shown to the people they have already liked.
Oh.
So for people who want to be on the app but don't want a lot of people to see their profiles, it gives them control over who can see them. And the other thing that we will be bringing in the next few months is travel mode, where if you're going to Greece in a couple of months and you already want to start connections on BD there, I know that you're very interested in that. You can put your location on BD in Greece and connect with people there already.
I love that. And I honestly am most excited. I know that kink, as open as I am about it, a lot of people are still very private and shy about their kink lives. So that incognito mode is going to be really helpful to allow more people to explore this. I'm most excited about that one for people because it will allow me to talk to my own clients and even followers and talk about how that's a great option if they are feeling shy but they still want to explore.
They didn't want to put their face on it because they didn't know who would see it. So for those people, if they use the incognito mode, they can now put their face on it because they're in control of who can see their profile.
Love that. Okay, that's amazing. All right, I can't wait until all of those features come out. And of course, this will not be your last time on the podcast because I want to keep this relationship going. I am so happy BD is in the world. And I think my only sadness is that it didn't come out sooner. Like, I wish I was using BeeDee App to date in my 20s, but here we are. So thank you so much. Thanks for all the work you guys are doing at BeeDee App. It's so meaningful and important, especially for the community.
Thank you for having us on here again and shouting us on. It's for the community that we do this. So hearing through your mouth that we are helping the community connect with the right people, that's what keeps us going to build BD into an even better app.
Awesome. I'm so glad to hear it. So for anyone who is not already on BeeDee App, I really want you to go check it out. It's an amazing app. I love that we have this in our community. And if you download the app, set up an account, you can get one free whip by using code Kink Consultant. So there's no reason to not at least go use your one whip. We didn't even talk about this. You can heart a profile, you can move it on, and then I didn't even explain it. A whip is a super like. What happens when you super like it? Say I use my whip. Does the other person know I used it on them?
Yes, if you use your whip on me, then I'll get a notification. Hey, Amanda is super interested in you. Go to BD to check out her profile. And whenever I go to BD, you'll be the first profile I see. And you can also optionally add a message in it, and I will see the message. So if you say, oh, Pieter, I know that we're physically far away, but I really like your beard and we should connect, then you can type that message and I'll immediately know that despite you being far away, you're very interested in me and my beard.
Okay, so there you go. So download the app, go to that whips page and use code Kink Consultant to get your free whip so that you can tell someone how much you love their beard, even if they are 3,000 miles away. I love it. Thanks so much, Pieter. And honestly, in the comments, I would love to hear from you. If you've used BeeDee App, if you've met someone on it, I want to hear more. I highly encourage everyone to go check it out.
If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who might find it interesting. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. email info@thekinkconsultant.com. Until next time, keep on kinking on.